Hello, my darlings. It's that time of year where we stand back and look at everything that we studied and that we learned this year. And my goodness, it's amazing. It's been another jam-packed year. And the PDF material, I think we've never created this much PDF material in one season before. It's quite remarkable. I think this is the same amount of PDF material that we had in the whole first 3 years. So we are ever evolving, always trying to get better. And it has been such a wonderful year for me to work again with more teachers, to bring other people here, which lightens my load in many ways and allows the school to continue to grow. And that is so important. Next year, it's our 10th season. Isn't that unbelievable? Some of you have been with me since the very beginning, and I am eternally grateful for the support, and I hope you're still enjoying it and learning along the way. So it's really important at the end of the year to look at what's here, because sometimes you forget. If you're wondering, if you want to have a little quick glance over everything that we did, watching the finales is always a great way to review what's there, to pinpoint what you might want to go in and study. If there's a structure that we studied here in previous seasons and you are just so in love with it and you want to hone in and see what we did with it this season, jump ahead to this season and continue your study in that area. You know, so many of the things that we do build on previous episodes. So watching the finale is always a great way for weavers who aren't as far along in the School of Weaving to be able to jump ahead and see what they want to jump to, if they might like to skip something. So that's a good reason, and also just to celebrate the amount of work that we have created. So I will start with our very first episode, which is a perfect example of what I just talked about. We had, I'm going to put this big heavy pile of PDFs down. We had our darling Rebecca Logan come back because she taught us the Powell method of drafting shadow weave last year. And when she came back to do this second episode, I really wanted to explore placing shadow weave motifs in a bigger graphic rather than having threadings that go from one side to the other and just run off the fabric. I wanted to put a frame around things. I wanted to insert it on a graphic. So Rebecca came up with all the theory that we need to learn how to create a motif with a certain number of our blocks and how to frame that and place that on a ground that does the exact opposite. So looking at this piece right here, which we designed on Fiberworks during the filming, it is an 8-shaft unit or an 8-shaft project, and we designed a loaf of bread on the threading that we had already for the project. And I've seen this several times on Instagram where people are weaving this in more natural colors, weaving loaves of bread. It's absolutely fun. You know, a baker, make them some towels. So that was the whole gist of this episode, was how to simplify shadow weave, create these motifs that might have a vertical striping system and place them on a ground that has a horizontal striping system. We need to reserve one of our units for the background, and that leaves us whatever's left over on the number of shafts we have to create the motif. So that was fun, but there was one more thing. We decided, Rebecca woke up in the middle of the night and decided that she wanted to try all of this theory, applying all of this this shadow weave theory on top of basket weave. Normally it's applied on plain weave, but by applying it on basket weave, we make the motifs twice as large. So that's exciting, very, very exciting. And if you want to learn about it, you want to learn how to do it, there's a whole episode just waiting for you. So there was a 4-shaft project and an 8-shaft project, And there was all kinds of great show and tell. As with every single episode in the School of Weaving, we have tons of show and tell to inspire you and show you how other weavers took this theory and put their own fingerprint on it. The second episode was brought to us by the wonderful Barbara Mitchell, David Schultz from Australia, and me. I got in on it too. So this episode, the 4-shaft version of this episode, was completely inspired by this gamp that David Schultz sent to me for the final episode last year of Doublefaced twills, where we did double-faced twills on 4 shafts. And he sent me this gamp, and I honestly, at the end of last year, didn't truly own it, but after we were finished filming, I had time to digest it, and I truly own it now. And I was so pleased to be able to take this inspiring gamp, which is a 2-2 twill, and share with you all how David created true log cabin on a 2-2 twill, true dark light on a 2-2 twill, where we see those images as they would appear in plain weave, but now we're seeing them on a 2-2 twill. So the theory is all broken down, and it's in the PDF. There's an amazing PDF for that. I'll just go get it. Lots of PDFs for this episode. Look at this. I'm gonna pull back a bit. This goes here. This goes here. So these are all the PDFs that came with that episode. And what I did was I took the theory and presented it to you in the PDF with lots of visuals, which is important. I'm a visual learner. I think most people are a visual learner, and I tried to break down all of the steps so that we could create all of these amazing motifs that we see in plain weave and color and weave, but now we're doing it on a 2-2 twill, or we're doing it on basket weave. So this is one of my favorite all-time color and weave sequences that we studied in the color and weave gamp in season 2. Dark, light, dark, light, dark, or as how I taught it back then, it was dark, light, dark, dark, light. Now I've sort of switched those around and made them dark, light, dark, done. Repeat it. Dark, light, dark, done. And you get your double darks, but the whole threading is symmetrical. So here that is that motif right there, woven on basket weave. But here is that same motif woven in a 2-2 twill. Our little pound sign, alternating pound signs. Binky, binky, binky. Super cool. And because we studied double-faced twills last year, we ended up overlaying that concept by changing the tie-up and bringing our 1-3 tie-ups and our 3-1 tie-ups, twill tie-ups, to the 4-shaft loom and using them weaving top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. We now have that motif expanded on a little bit. Now we have 3 rows horizontally, but the backside is completely different. So the backside is just neutral with black lines. Here is something that really brings it home. Here we have that same motif repeated 4 times. So now we have 4 horizontal lines. These are color and weave effects, but the backside is completely different. It's alternating bands of Nile and denim solid stripes. Pretty cool that we learned how to do all of this on 4 shafts. So I was really pleased to be able to present this to you, and I would not have been able to present it to you if it weren't for David. So dear darling David, thank you so much. All right, the 8-shaft portion of this episode truly was brought to you by Barbara Mitchell. Barbara Mitchell started the whole thing. She created the design. She created the graphic. She took my request for overlaying color and weave to block double weave, and she created this test sampler, which was the first thing that she sent to me. You know what? I forgot about these scarves. That other project also had 2 scarves in it where we wove it in double-faced twill. So you can see that we have a strong log cabin patterning going on in this piece, horizontal and alternating vertical lines, and the back side is completely different. So that's our 4-shaft double-faced twill, and this scarf has the same thing, but on this side, let's look at this side right here, we have a very strong 2 darks, 1 light color and weave effect. This is 2-2-12. Well, it's actually 3-1 and 1-3-12, and the back side is completely different color. So, sorry, I forgot about those. All right, now we can move on to Barbara's. Sorry, Barbara. Barbara heard my dreams, my desire to see color and weave on top of block double weave, and so she created this amazing sampler which she sent to me. And it has 1 layer of the cloth is alternating black and white stripes, and on the other side, the warp, the other block side, are 3 strong blocks of color. And I think we can see that in some of the places, but well, right here we can see it, our strong black and white stripes, and on this side, our strong division of space and colors, and then there's a block profile overlaid on top of it. So I really love that, and I took that idea and ran with it. I kept her graphic, I kept everything about it. The only thing I did was I changed the colors to colors that Barbara had used in a version of this that was done in very, very fine bamboo. And we almost ran with that for the episode, but we chose not to just because it was like 600 warp threads in the warp, and we thought it might be overwhelming. So I scaled the project back to using 8-2 cotton for the warp, far fewer weft picks per inch, and I've been seeing all kinds of cool renditions of this. So this piece was my sampler piece, and right down here we can see the 2 warps. So 1 layer of the warp were alternating black and white stripes. The other side of the warp was solid blocks of color. So in the episode, you learn how to create 2 distinct sides to the fabric. You learn how to overlay the blocks on top. And then we got to play with tie-ups and graphic. We learned a great deal about managing our color. The very, very first piece that we wove was just exploring what it would be like if we wove it as though our first 4 shafts and our last 4 shafts were a 4-shaft loom. So the tie-up was exactly the same. It was a 4-shaft double weave tie-up. And we played with that idea. 2 completely different sides. We ran through all kinds of combinations where we kept that set of tie-ups, that pair of tie-ups. They kept our front and our back weaving as though it were 4-shaft, and then we added a portion of the block double weave tie-up. Then we added the other pair of, the other 4 treadles paired with the 4-shaft tie-up. Then we changed the tie-up again. I know it's a lot of tie-up changes, but by doing these tie-up changes, we really learn how tie-up controls our patterning and controls what's up and what's down, and that there's not just one way to do it. So it was a great exploration in this. We are using the 2 traditional block double weave tie-ups. Anyway, there was a whole slew of other placemats that I'm not going to run through, but I will when I present the episode. This is just your intro. I guess I should speed it up. Yep. Oh my God, Jeanette's over there going, which is her little message for me to speed it up. Oh my God, I'm pathetic. All right, what came next? Diversified plain weave. I'll do this one faster. Rebecca Logan came back and she gave us a whole new weave structure that we've never studied before. Diversified plain weave, there's a 4-shaft project and there's an 8-shaft project. And each one of those projects has 5 baby blankets that explore tie-up. This set on 4 shafts, this set on 8 shafts. And just because they're close to me, I'll just show you the possibilities of design with diversified plain weave, which is thick. It's thin, thin, thick. Thin, thin, thick. Say that fast a lot of times. Thin, thin, thick. Here we have this wonderful twill profile, but on that same profile, on that same threading, we can get very geometric motifs as well. So this was a mind-blowing episode of exploration and studying a brand new weave structure. And we are going to come back to it again next year because there's always something else you can add to it. There were narrower projects that were also provided in the PDF. If you didn't want to make 5 baby blankets, well, maybe you'd like to make 2 shawls. So we have 2 variations of the same threadings here in a narrower format. The next person that came into our lives was Lisa Hill. Lisa Hill came and gave us 2 projects for this episode. One was using an overlay of denting and deflected double weave on 4 shafts. So we have this wonderful dented piece. If we don't weave one whole block, if we take out our B block and say we take it out of the tie-up and pretend it's not there, we end up with space, and we can treat that space as though it were a dented fabric. So there was that element going on, and then there was differential shrinkage. So this is merino paired with bamboo. The merino shrinks more, puckers up the bamboo, and we did that in season 3. So it was an overlay of those ideas. The second project was learning how to turn a draft, something you read about, step-by-step instructions in the PDF. To show, it also illustrates the connectedness of these weave structures. So it shows that M's and O's has similarities to how deflected double weave is threaded. One block of it, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. That's an A block of M's and O's. And gosh, that's also how we can thread deflected double weave. So she turned the tie-up for M's and O's, traditional M's and O's, and we have this second scarf. So we learned a lot for our 4-shaft kids, and our 8-shaft kids got the gampkins. The gampkins were based on our 4-shaft twill that we did in season 4, and we used all of the threadings in that 4-shaft twill gamp to be profiles for our blocks on deflected double weave. Pretty darn cool. It was a huge exploration of what you could do when you approach the treadling, trompes rit, but then in many other different ways of creating repetitive sequences. A, B, A, B, A, B, C, B, C, B, C, B, C, D, C, D, C, D, D, A, D, A, D, A, on and on and on, just one idea after another until we got all of these gampkins, and that was the end of that episode. Well, we were exhausted after that episode, so we brought in Terry Madison to make these lovely little bags. This episode was for me. I was intimidated by my sewing machine and all the sewing videos that I saw online, and I asked Terry to come and break it all down for me, help me put a zipper in, and we've had huge feedback on this episode. People loved it, they learned it, and it's incredibly detailed. Every single step is filmed. Well, after that, everyone probably had time that was following along to digest this information. So Lisa came back and we created an episode that was all about sucking the ideas out of this gampkin. You know, we have this resource that will last us for the rest of our life. There's a million things that we could do with all of these different squares. How could we create an episode where we helped our weavers take an idea, develop it, and create other projects based on it? So in that project, we have created 3 more PDFs for these different scarves. We have a set of scarves called Staghorn and Jigsaw. Super fun. These are the same on both sides pretty much. We can see some of the threadings here. This is a straight draw. That's a little bit of broken. This one here has one side that's very different than the other side. So beautiful. So that was one of the 3 scarf projects that we created. This was the second one. How can we simplify it? So we took information from the Gampkins and created this next scarf. And we created a third one, which was the project for the episode. It's called Knots and Crosses. And it explores the selvage treatment, and it explores paring down the 4 possible units on 4 shafts to 3 and using 1 unit for plain weave. So we have a division of space in 2. Half of it is threaded for plain weave. The other half is threaded for pattern. And we created this amazing scarf that explores and celebrates the plain weave in all of these structures. That episode had this other little wonderful section in it, and it was a section that was inspired by this beautiful little hot mat that Jean Carey sent to me from the Northwest Territories, and I've always wanted to do it. So it was an episode using deflected double weave as a threading or monk's belt as a threading, and exploring bringing the natural world that surrounds us outside in. Who could do that better than Joan Kerrigan? So Joan came and she taught us about collecting willow, showed us all kinds of things, shared with us all the different materials that she harvests on Salt Spring Island. And we talked about where you might be able to get some of these materials yourself around you. Everyone lives in a different climate. So this is purchased seagrass. Lisa ran with it and did it with purchased round reed from basketry supply stores, and she wove her entire set of placemats using true deflected double weave. I treated it as though that threading was monk's belt, but she used the other tie-ups from deflected double weave. The threading is the same, but the tie-ups are different. Those tie-ups under your loom, my goodness. So many possibilities when we understand that. All right, and that brought us to our very last episode, which was a study of honeycomb. Honeycomb, just like monk's belt, just like deflected double weave, is part of the twill circle, 1s and 2s against 3s and 4s. In this case, I chose to keep it really simple and only use 2 of the twill units, the A and the C, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. In overshot, that's an A and a C in the overshot circle, in the twill circle. Anyway, we did a huge exploration where I treated this particular piece as true honeycomb, where we have little cells alternating A and B cells. And then we throw 2 picks of a much heavier yarn on 2 picks of plain weave going selvage to selvage. I played with different treadlings to explore things. This was the same idea, just alternating A's and B's, but instead of having 2 picks, I have 1 pick. It simplifies the honeycomb. It simplifies the cell. What happens if I repeat a cell over and over and over, A, and then a whole bunch of B's? I can turn those cells into long columns. What happens if I want to take those cells and isolate them by weaving plain weave in between the cells? This was the huge exploration. And then it became clear that I could bring in all kinds of other tie-ups that we hadn't studied before, which we did. So one is called cording, and you'll see it in the episode. This one is called tufted weft. You'll see that in the episode. I brought Lisa Hill's turned M's and O's tie-up over to this project. So all of these pieces were woven on 1 warp, exploring tie-up. This one was tufted weft and the back of tufted weft. This cushion was true monk's belt. And then to tie it all together, I had to do a little piece of Joan. So here I'm weaving that same warp, but I'm weaving plain weave with 8/2 cotton in between wonderful willow, thin willow and fat willow, chubby willow. All right, I think that's it. And then we have all kinds of other things in the background. You know, the dream team creates so many wonderful things. So this whole season was no different than any other season. The dream team just pulled out all the stops, and oh my God, the show and tells are unbelievable. So before we go into every single little episode, I always like to say thank you to all the people that support me in this endeavor. It takes a lot of people to bring these videos to you. A lot of weaving goes into it, a lot of exploration, a lot of things that never ever make it in front of the camera because either I don't like it or I don't like the colors or we change it. So much goes into creating these episodes so that you get what I believe to be the best educational experience and journey. So the people that really help bring what you're looking at right now are standing right in front of me, and that's Al and Jeanette. And Al is our cameraman, and Jeanette is my right hand, my left hand. She creates all the PDFs. She is always here at filming. She writes, she does so many things. I can't even begin to tell you what Jeanette's contribution to the School of Weaving is, because it's absolutely massive. She takes my scribbles and turns them into these beautiful PDFs, and if you saw what she was given, you would roll your eyes. Anyway, we wouldn't be able to be enjoying this without them. I have a list so I don't blow it. We have another member of our team who's always there answering questions and encouraging you, and that's Sandra. And so Sandra is one of the monitors along with Jeanette on Ravelry and the forum, always directing questions my way if need be, or trying to answer those questions herself. So thank you so much, Sandra. And then we have to thank all our guest teachers who were here this year. And our guest teachers this year were Terry Madison, Rebecca Logan, Barbara Mitchell, Elizabeth Hill, Joan Kerrigan, huge inspiration from David Schultz and Jean Carey. Our dream team just knock it out of the ballpark. We had a new member to our dream team in this very last episode, and that is Jessica Norris from Australia. And Jessica sent all of her pieces to David Schultz, who's on the dream team, and they mailed everything together in one parcel to save on shipping. So that was kind of fun, and we look forward to working more with Jessica. Other members on our dream team are Brenda Reimer from Manitoba. She has woven so many wonderful things for this season. On Salt Spring, I have my little team of Crystal Noth, Mavis McMillan, Sharon Blowdorn. In Vancouver, I've got Barbara Mitchell. In Victoria and on Vancouver Island, I've got Sharon Broadley, Arlene Kohut, Anita Salmon, Gail Meyer, and Kathy Reddy. These are all names you have heard year after year after year. People who take these weavers, who take these ideas and create their own pieces based on the theory and show you and inspire you to branch out on your own and create your own pieces. That's what's so special. That's what's so special about it all. We have proofreaders for the School of Weaving, and they are Barbara Mitchell and Lana McNeil. They help us make these patterns better and better all the time. Then there's my JST team that work behind me in the other part of this building, who pack up your orders, take your orders, answer your questions. And they are Elizabeth, Sharon, our dyer, Rebecca, Eben, and Christine, who makes all the sample cards, and Matt, who winds all those big cones into little cones. So there's a lot of people who bring all of the goodness that our little business wants to share with the world. And I want to thank them. I want to thank you. I want to thank my family. And I have to, say something about Freya and Levon. Freya and Levon are my big reasons for being here, and of course, Grant, you know. Grant's always there, cooking me dinner, making me lunch, and rubbing my feet at the end of the day. So, thank you, and I hope you'll watch the rest of this little episode, and I'll see you in a few minutes.